What is open
Okay.
rhinoplasty?
What is open rhinoplasty? So that's a nose job surgical technique where we're gonna open the nose and take a look at the structures inside and do the work that we need to do. Why is it called open? It's because we are putting an incision here at the columella, and it's a tiny incision that heals great. The rest of the incisions are all internal inside the nostril. You don't see them. Imagine opening the hood of a car and taking a look inside, taking a look at the engine. So this is a much more refined process, but this is technically what we're doing is we're lifting the skin and soft tissue, and then we're going to be able to expose and look at the anatomy. The beauty of open rhinoplasty is now you've exposed everything. You can diagnose the issue where, the orientation of the cartilages, the tension between them, the asymmetries, the deviations, and then you can treat that. And you are going to have maximal versatility of what to do with those structures. And so the goal is we want to preserve as much of your structures as possible, preserve your anatomy, and that's a huge evolution that has happened over the years in rhinoplasty. So we want to preserve those structures, but at the same time, we want to use sound structural techniques to strengthen the structure of the nose, to respect the breathing function of the nose, and make it either preserve it or make it better. Now, we want to use those techniques to refine the aesthetic appearance of the nose, its proportions, its harmony with itself and with the rest of your face, so that it appears like a nose with the changes that you wanted, that you have in mind, but it's a nose that you could have been born with, that looks natural on you, that looks harmonious, and that functions, that breathes fine. In open rhinoplasty, typically we lift the skin and the soft tissue. We're gonna selectively, very carefully, now with more hybrid techniques, preservation and structural techniques, we're gonna respect some of the ligaments of the nose. We're gonna go in, we're gonna do the work that we need to do. And sometimes, and in a lot of cases, we're reducing a dorsal hump. And so we're going to reduce the dorsal hump, the bony component and the cartilaginous component, and to different extents that can be different between people. And then we're also going to be taking a look at the septum. If the septum is deviated, we're going to treat the deviation, and that sometimes involves removing a portion of the septal cartilage, but preserving a strong pillar of the septal cartilage. And then we're going to be, depending on the extent of dorsal hump reduction, there's different techniques that we can use. A preservation approach would be to preserve this portion of your nose and not really open it up, but just shape it or just drop it without creating without deconstructing and reconstructing it. But if it's a big dorsal hump or if you have a certain kind of anatomy, then doing a proper structural technique is the way to go. The key is doing a hybrid approach to the nose, preserving those structures, but creating the change, and reconstructing something that is strong is going to stand the test of time. We want to look at the tip, and generally we want to provide support to that tip, and then we want to retension and reconfigure the lower lateral cartilages so that we recreate symmetry if symmetry was an issue. We want the proper tension, the proper vectoring, and the proper orientation of those cartilages. And then we want to recreate what we surgeons commonly call a diamond-shaped tip, which is the shape of that nasal tip. So imagine this tripod structure where the lower lateral cartilages are coming this way and that way here. And where they meet, we want to create the shape that looks like a diamond. And that's kind of a typical format that creates an aesthetic, beautiful tip. We also want to look at the resting angle, or how the orientation of the lateral cruise of the lower lateral cartilages is with relationship to the dorsum of the nose. And so all of these relationships come into play, and it's beautiful because there's a way to bring in all of those pieces of the puzzle to create not only the aesthetic shape, but they go hand in hand, because what looks natural is what functions naturally. So to create a natural aesthetic that achieves the aesthetic goals but functions properly is by providing a sound structure that anatomically makes sense. And so that's the beauty of open rhinoplasty, is we can bring in all the tools. We can maximize the aesthetics, maximize the safety, and maximize the function.